cool. So if you guys are not aware, if you're just joining us, we finally got this thing to work. Hey, you guys, thanks for joining us tonight for Twice the Advice. Tonight's topic is I Take It Back. So we're talking a little bit about what do you do when you get to a place in a relationship where you're kind of ready to throw in the towel, but then you kind of come back and you realize, wait a minute, I take it back. I didn't mean it. You know, you get to this place and you start saying these things and doing these things. And at the moment, you might have meant it. And at the moment, you know, you felt like it was the right thing to do with the right thing to say. But afterwards, it's like, man, I probably shouldn't have said that. Or, man, I probably shouldn't have done that. So how do you address, you know, the I didn't mean it, the I take it back, the man, how can I fix that? So that's kind of like what we're taking a look at tonight, you guys. So talk to us. Um what do you do when you're ready to say I take it back or I didn't mean it?
I have gotten to a place where I've gotten to a place where I just kind of like try to make sure that I'm on point when it comes down to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't make you do anything. When you're in a relationship and you tell somebody what you don't want them to do, the moment that you tell them, don't do this or don't do that, they find 10 ways to do exactly what it is that you ask them not to do, particularly with women. So you're better off steering clear of that approach. I just kind of like make sure that I'm handling my business. As long as I know that I swept around my own porch, can't nobody tell me about what it is that needs to be done. So when it comes down to my wife, I just kind of handle myself accordingly with conversation, you know, doing what I have to do when it comes down to making sure that we are on one accord, we're on the same page, and nobody feels cheated. Typically in conversation, when you know one side is more biased or the other side feels as if they're not being heard out thoroughly, that usually becomes the biggest issue, other than finance.
Okay.
In relationships.
Gotcha.
And that's where a lot of the biggest issues, other than infidelity, I would say, come from. And you just be like, you know what, the hell with this.
Yeah. I don't think I can disagree with that. But I do feel that you have to get to a place in your relationship where you shut out the noise.
Good point. Very good point.
I think even beyond in your relationship, within your inner self, sometimes you have to get to a place and to a point where you shut out the noise that you're even hearing, sometimes in your own head, right? Sometimes your insecurities and your PTSD, as we like to call it, plays a really big role in how you interpret the things that people do and say.
Got you.
And with dealing with that PTSD, you have to understand that sometimes the things that people do and say has absolutely nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them.
Yes.
And then your interpretation of what they're saying has absolutely nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with yourself.
I couldn't agree with you more. When you are when you're dealing with a relationship and you look at a relationship, the perspective is always going to be so much more of an impact on how you respond or react in certain situations. If you look at the perspective and you feel like the glass is half empty versus the glass is half full, a lot of times you will get more of a reaction more so than a response.
And then there are the very, 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 very few, like the 1%ers of people who actually look at the fact that the glass is neither half empty or half full. The glass actually has something in it. That is someone who has been through, what do you call it, like the wilderness stage in their life.
Shit.
I'll call it the wilderness stage, where you've really kind of been in a drought and you've gone completely without. You can value and appreciate having half of something, because having half of something is better than having none of anything.
I don't know. Yes, I would agree with that perspective when it comes down to certain things. But I've heard where people have responded to relationships and said, having half a man is better than having no man at all. Like, I mean, I just don't really get that concept, because at the end of the day, would you want half my check, or would you want the whole thing? Would you want half my commitment, or would you want all of me committed to you? That's the kind of situation that I come to when I think about half of a man, or half of a spouse, or anything
it's not
of that
about
nature.
the glass being half empty or half full. Is about a viewpoint of life.
Okay.
It's not about a half of a person. So the half empty, half full statement or that quote is really about how you view life. Like, if you're looking at the same glass that I'm looking at, you may see it as half empty, whereas I see it as half full. But when you kind of pull back a little bit, if you've ever had to go where there was nothing, then you learn to value and appreciate whether the glass is half empty or half full, because you spent time without anything.
Right. Okay. So one of the things that I've dealt with and I've come to kind of put into perspective is where they say so often now, a happy wife makes for a happy life. And I be like, bruh, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm tired of trying to make sure that my wife is happy and making sure that I got a happy wife to have a happy life. Why can't I just have a happy life altogether, just because of what it is that I'm putting in and what it is that I expect out, and how things are going to come back around? So I decided to take that little quote and I decided to turn around. Turn around.
What I do?
And make it where a happy spouse equals a happy house.
Oh my gosh.
So a happy spouse goes for both parties. A happy spouse doesn't leave anyone out of that equation.
Happy spouse, happy house.
Right?
Happy spouse, happy house.
Okay. So with a happy spouse keeping a happy house, I feel like that gives both people the challenge to make sure that they are on top of their game, that they are putting forth their A1, their A+, making it happen. No shits and giggles, but really and truly the full Monty. So
why are you facing me like this?
Because I'm saying
we on camera.
let me
Fix yourself.
Because I want to make sure that we have a clear understanding about the happy spouse and happy house circumstance, right?
Cool. Talk to me.
Okay, cool. So, oh my gosh. So when it comes down to the essential things that keep your spouse happy,
okay.
You know, your house is your safe haven. That's your tranquil zone. That's where, when you face all of the adversity of the world and everything that's out there that comes up against you, you go home and you're able to decompress. You go home and you're able to shut out all of the other negative things that you dealt with, anybody, everybody, you know, and so on, so forth, and etc. So you come home and things are in a complete disarray. How can you keep yourself from saying, I take it back? How do you keep yourself from saying, this isn't what I want anymore? This isn't what I signed up for. The hell with it. You know what? Maybe I or even questioning yourself and saying, what is it that I did, or what am I doing wrong to get this as a result of what it is that I'm doing? So
if you ask me, if you're asking for my honest opinion, I think a lot of that is expectation.
Okay.
If I expect for there to be, you know, a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and I ever find it and the pot of gold isn't there, then I cause disappointment. Then I cause regret. Then I have all these questions and these second guesses and saying, why did I even do all of this, right? If I have an expectancy of a particular thing and that expectancy is not met, and that is what causes disappointment, I think that it is totally okay for a spouse to their expectations, because there are truly some things that are outside of that person's control. There's been times where we've made plans that right after work we're going to do X, Y, or Z, and on your way to come and get me, you got a flat tire.
Right. Okay. That's something that's not within your control.
But one and the same, it's the same thing as if I come home and, there's something going on with the kids and it takes my attention away from cooking dinner and I have to turn around and tend to the kids. It's kind of that same kind of an idea, but I have to make sure that I don't have this expectancy that things are just going to go the way that I want them to. They're going to just kind of go the way that they're intended to.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I have to accept that. I have to take that. What about when there are situations like, let's say, you feel like in communication, I know how my husband is. I know how my husband may respond or react when it comes down to certain things. So because I feel like I know this or that when it comes down to him, I'm not going to communicate certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to, keep this to myself, or, take one for the team, because the simple fact of the matter is I feel that it'll be better that way it doesn't cause any more conflict.
Right.
I don't have to hear his mouth. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that, whatever, etc.
Right.
When you deal with situations like that,
Uh-huh.
how is it that you come to a point within your own self where you turn around and you don't then say, well, you know what? This is enough, because I don't want to have to deal with that crap all over again.
Well, I do feel that you have to get to a point where, hey, Antoinette, how are you? Listen, I feel like we haven't spoken in forever. I just want to say to you again, congratulations, my girl. Congratulations on becoming the Mrs. You see, Mrs. Malone Davis. Stop playing with her. Put some respect on her name.
Hello.
I just so happened to look up and I saw that she was there. But I don't think that it is fair, even though it is something that I'm guilty of. So please don't make it seem as I'm putting on for people. But I don't feel that it is fair for you to choose for the other person how they're going to respond.
Okay.
I don't feel that that is fair. But I also am very much so the kind of person that will only ask you a question one time. And if you respond incorrectly that one time, I'll never ask you again, because when I did ask, this is the way that you responded.
Doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the response that you get for every question.
This is true. But that's just me in character. I'm just being honest about myself.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why we want to discuss it. And if I can just have you over here with me
I'm sorry,
to discuss this,
oh my gosh,
we might actually be able to get somewhere.
I'm sorry.
Before this.
Okay. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm sorry, babe. Happy spouse, happy housekeeping. No.
All right. So
Get on my nerve.
we're looking at the scenes, and you say to yourself, I take it all back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I recently talked to a young lady who's having some difficulty in her marriage, and she was very transparent with me. And I can appreciate and respect that. She said, her and her husband have dealt with some things. They have gone at it, tooth and nail. They literally had it out. It's been times where she done jumped on him and bust him upside the head. And there's been some other times where he's gotten a little overly aggressive with her, not necessarily where it was him beating her or anything of that nature, but he has put his hands on her. And the two of them dealing with what they are dealing with, coming from two different spectrums of life. Him coming from his perspective of how a marriage should be, and even some failed attempts with what it is that he's dealt with his mother, father, and stepmother or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And for her to come from her idea of what the
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Every time, I get a little aggressive, he just calls my mom. So it's okay.
Yeah, well, maybe in the good old days, but they're just at a crossroad. A lot of people feel like it's not a comfortable and healthy place for her. He is dealing with some other emotional circumstances and even his own demons. And I feel as though when it's all said and done, they've already made their vow before God. So I'm not gonna advise anyone at any time to stay in a relationship that they feel could be harmful or is harmful or hazardous to them and their health. However, from my own personal experiences, I watched my grandmother deal with quite a lot of physical and verbal abuse. And I said, to her so many times, I'm like, man, why you just not leave this joker? Let's kill him. You know what I'm saying? Let's kill him. Like, he sleep hard. We can just get one of his guns.
He get
Pop
drunk.
that nigga and keep it moving. And at the end of the day, as I became more spiritually inclined and getting a better understanding of how and why, the Bible says that, a soft word curves all of that.
Auntie.
And it also says that she made her vow before God. So even though I may not understand or I may not value what it is that she's dealing with and going through with her husband, she has already made that case in point. And it's not about what we feel or what we interpret
as acceptable.
Right.
Or not.
Exactly. My words exactly. But it's her commitment to what her vows were with Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen some crazy things happen between these two people. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Even down to the point where grandma told me not to come around because of some things that I did. And it was disrespectful to not only her, but my grandfather more specifically as the head of the household. And I had to accept the fact that, regardless of whether I like it or not, I'm a grandson, but that's a husband. That is her husband. That's exactly who he is. That's the role that he plays. And we all, anybody that is in association with her, regardless of what our opinion of him is, we have to respect and value his authority and his place in her life.
Mm-hmm. When did you come to have the understanding of that?
It was before I got married, but it was definitely in my much more mature age that I started to see, like, okay, so it's not really even about her.
Right.
So that kind of brings me to the point where I get where a lot of people, they get together, and I've seen where people have gotten together, they've decided that they're going to be together, and then things just don't seem to work anymore. They just don't seem to be the same type of people. One is evolving and changing one way, another is evolving and changing in their own.
Yeah.
And then there are children involved, and they end up staying because of the children. And these children, of course, they're trying to give these children something that they've never had, and they're trying to give these children the stability and the image of a mother and father, or what two people that love each other look like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes that image can also be tainted because you see that those children start to grow up and they start to be, more noticeable, more knowledgeable of what's really going on.
Yeah,
like,
they're more conscious.
Wait a minute. So who's that lady? Or who's that guy? Or
and
even
why are
in
they
the
standing
case,
so close to you?
Or even in that case, mommy, who's that lady?
Yeah.
That looks like a guy that keeps coming to see you.
Yeah, that
or
too.
You know what I'm saying? So many different circumstances and scenarios in this day and age, especially in the ATL starting. It's a whole ton of
stuff,
things that are exposed to these children and exposed to adults themselves as well.
Right.
So, man, I just have come to kind of like give myself a certain amount of space when I'm dealing with my wife, I try to keep that to myself. I don't really have an association with any friends of anything of that nature. Majority of the people that knew of me don't know me as an adult, so I don't really look to them to say that they know me, because who they knew I'm no longer, and who I'm going and becoming to, who I'm in the direction to become and growing to be, is someone that I don't even know who that is. You know, I just know that it's greater than who I was yesterday. So I try to make sure that I keep her separated from a lot of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when I was in the streets, I kept all of my home things away from the streets. And it's just like that helps me to keep it where I don't have certain slip ups. You got all these young ladies that got either sugar daddies or side niggas, and all of these dudes that's either got secret lovers or separate houses, and all of that. You understand what I'm saying? And I just don't want to be associated with it. Like I sleep good at night no matter what the decisions it is that I made, whether in the past or present, and I kind of pride myself on that. So when it comes down to my wife, even with us doing the YouTube thing, this here was an opportunity for us to self-heal, for us to counsel one another and share it with the people that we love most. And because there was no reason to go and pay somebody to listen to us if we weren't willing to listen to ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we took this opportunity to try to make sense of it. And now I see a lot of people in relationships, right, that are facing the adversities that come with relationships. And they like, I don't know if I want to do this no more. The hell with it. You know, fuck that. I take it back.
I think it's almost frightening at
do you
how
think it's in the air? Is it like
no. I was gonna say, like, it's almost frightening how as my husband and I were getting started on, you know, making a D&D this what it is now, there were people that just kept coming, whether it was to the two of us together or to us individually, that was like, well, look, I got this situation and I'm not really sure what to do. And it was like, well, I'm not really sure if I'm in a position to guide you. But, you know, I kind of took that as God's way of kind of redirecting us back to this place that we had work to do. What up, peoples? I felt like that was God's way of letting us know that we still had work to do, and that we needed to go ahead and get to it.
Okay. So let's talk about some of that work, because it's easy to say, I take it all back. I'm done.
Yeah. It's easy to say it.
Right.
It's easy as heck to say it.
Okay.
But then what does it actually look like?
I've lived with my clothes packed for 6 months at a time.
Yes.
So yeah, egg on my face. But in reality, you know what I'm saying? The fact of the matter is knowing what it is that you have. I've said so many different times, I just didn't want to watch you deal with somebody else. And even where I was willing to deal with somebody else, or even when I was at the point where I was like, the hell with it, whoever, they can have it. I just felt like, to a certain degree, I wasn't done with you.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, the I take it back was a lot easier because I never really intended for us to not be together. Like, I made a very conscious choice for myself a very long time ago that this was it for me. Like, not like this is it and then I'm gonna throw in the towel, but like, this is it. Like, this is it. This is it. Like, there's nothing else after this.
Okay.
I did.
I didn't think that that's how you felt the entire time.
Of course not.
Through a lot of different things.
Of course not. But again, a lot of that, as I said, and I'm coming to find one and the same with how I interpret some of the things that you do and say, that is internalized PTSD.
All right, cool. So now that we're hitting that point, right?
Yeah.
We were having a conversation a little bit earlier, right? And I was saying to you, when it comes down to the women, right? A lot of women will get into relationships They will see a guy, they will say, oh, you know what? I like him. He's cute. He's got white teeth. He got no kids. He got one kid. He's a great dad, whatever, etc. And all of these good positive things. And still, when it comes to the relationship, say, I'm going to see how this goes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see how this works.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. But you've already made a conscious decision to be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yet
and still, you have this guard up. So you're not revealing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
You're not open in conversation.
Yep.
Your vulnerable places, those dark conversations, those uncomfortable conversations,
Mm-hmm.
you're not willing to share those and indulge in them completely.
Mm-hmm.
But on the opposite side of that, the man, in a lot of cases, me speaking and from some other input that I've had, men, when they have made the decision
Mm-hmm.
to say, I'm going to be in a relationship, I'm going to settle down, this is who it is.
Mm-hmm.
They're open in relationship, open in conversation, open in communication. They're ready to commit and be loyal and do all of these other things.
Mm-hmm.
How do you not take all of that back when you come to find out that you've got a person that you've partnered with that is not being as open and as transparent as you?
Honestly, I don't really know. I know that it is a very natural thing for men to be kind of outward with whatever it is that they've got going on. And it is also just as natural for women to be just as reclusive with what it is that they got going on with their stuff. But I just feel like, let me speak from me, right?
Okay.
Verbal abuse is a real thing, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. With that, in the course of being in relationships, especially when you're young and you're not very sure of yourself, you can be manipulated to believe anything.
Your truth, your lie or truth becomes reality.
It's not about your lie or truth; it's someone else's.
Okay.
Okay. And I had been led to believe no one was ever going to take me serious. No one was going to take my baggage. No one was going to accept some of the things that I came with. And that left me feeling shame. And so even though I was with someone who I felt like was worthy, I was still ashamed to deal with a lot of different things, not just to bring that to the forefront for you, but I wasn't ready to deal with that for myself. Like before, the statement, before you can be real with anybody else, you got to be real with yourself. And that is the absolute truth. But sometimes things are a little difficult for even you yourself to do.
Okay. I can definitely agree with that. That's definitely kind of in the direction that I was going in with that, because I feel like, let me make sure I word this correctly. Women that I've dealt with have always kind of had this, well, I won't tell him that until I know if he's going to stay kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even heard some older women say that. And I'll just say this, all of those older women that said that are by themselves. Every last one of them that I've heard say that same exact statement, they're all by themselves. And you probably deserve that. You're probably going to be that way for a lot of your days. Because transparency is something that is like so essential. Like truth and respect and value is something that you cannot paint a picture of, but you have to know the art that is in it. I looked at the situation and seeing my mom being single and seeing my mom go back and forth and teeter-totter between two complete pompous idiots. One who is completely crazy about her, but yet is still not capable of providing for her the things that she needs that are of substance, the things that are of value. The other one that is willing to give her so many worldly possessions and meet her halfway with all of these other things. But the things that he needs most in character and tact to give her, he has none. He has none of that. So it's hard for me to, kind of understand where she is, because I'm looking from the outside and I'm saying, well, damn, and not to call out on my mom, but to say, well, damn, does love trump the financial, or does the affection and the loyalty that you're looking for not sustain you the way that the fun and spontaneous things that you might feel would light your fire?
We've had this conversation before, and I've said to you several different times that's a part of the attribute that makes you so dynamic is because you have all of those things. You have the fun, you have the chivalry, you have the beauty, you have the brains, you have all of those things. So that's what makes it where it's like, I don't need anything else. I've got it all. I've got my skateboarder, I've got my bike rider, I've got my brainiac, and I've got my mechanic all in one person. And to some degree, I can't speak for anybody else, but I'll speak for me. For myself, that was a challenge for me because I can acknowledge the fact that I get bored. And that was a challenge for me in previous relationships, because it was like, this person is not three-dimensional. They're only one-dimensional. So when I'm ready to go to the next plateau, they can't go with me. That's not a challenge that I face in this relationship. You have all of those dynamics. You're not just, a flat, square drawn on a piece of paper. You're a diamond. So you have multiple different surfaces, which makes it so much easier for you to kind of like meet me at whatever level it is that I'm on.
I'm speaking not necessarily from our perspective, but if you are okay, it's just like me. And let's put a few things out there, right? Okay. So,
ooh, ow.
Now that right there, that definitely hit the nail on that. The hammer hit right on the nail. And I couldn't necessarily find the words, but thank you, man. Hey, shout out to my Aunt Nicole, man. Listen, if you go back in just about every one of these videos, you're gonna hear me say, shout out to my Aunt Nicole.
She's the bomb.
Thank you for my Aunt Nicole. My Aunt Nicole is such a inspirational, spiritual,
she is definitely
positive influence on me, as well as our relationship.
For our Facebook viewers, we had a YouTube comment to drop that says, you date at the level of your self-esteem. And for our YouTube viewers, we had a Facebook comment that said that three-dimensional attribute is important.
Yes.
I can't necessarily speak for every woman. That is unfair for me to say. But it is definitely important for us to get a little bit of everything. Like, I need you to be a little rough, and I need you to be a little soft, and I need you to have a little bit, I need you to meet me in multiple different ways, because as a woman, I'm ever evolving. And I have to be a lot of different things. I have to be soft with my children, and I have to be delicate with my parents. But then when I'm with you, I want to feel like it's okay for me to be rough. I want to be okay to throw on my short shorts and jump on the back of the bike with you.
Man, I'm talking about, I couldn't put that in. I couldn't put the words together. But she said, you date at the level of your self-esteem. So for me, right? When I was dealing with my whole little back and forth and up and down thing, right? Me and my wife were dealing with some issues, and I kept telling her, I'm like, man, listen, I just don't feel like you match my drive. I want so much more, and I'm so hungry. And even still now, I'm hungry like a bear after hibernation. I'm like a ferocious bear. I am ever
He's quite
hungry,
ferocious
and
too.
I am looking for. Right, thank you. I am looking for stability. I'm looking for financial evolution. I'm looking for spiritual enlightenment. I'm looking for this untangible knowledge. Like I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? I want it all. But as I'm evolving after watching my wife's evolution, I see how people get bored and how people get torn in between the two. I was dealing with a young lady for a while. Me and my wife had kind of gotten on bad terms. We were on ice. And I even shared some of the things that she was saying to me recently, which kind of gave me a different point of view and a different perspective on how I was handling things when it came to my wife because of my own childhood traumas. So,
that PTSD.
That PTSD. So, excuse me. I said to her, we were having a conversation, but I said to my wife, I said, when I look at it like this here, I want you to be able to push me, but at the same time, be able to comfort me. I want you to be willing to be submissive to me, but at the same time, be willing to, stand up and tell me what it is that your expectancy of me is. Mm-hmm. So, here it is. We started going through all this crazy stuff. I end up in one place, she ends up in another, and I'm dealing with this young lady, and everything that I'm not necessarily comfortable with doing, she is somehow bringing herself to make me do it. Not forcefully, but willingly and even submissively. She's taking me places that I don't necessarily want to go. I'm doing shit that I don't want nothing to do with. And as we're doing these things, I don't necessarily even realize that I'm doing them because we're communicating through the entire process. Everything is being socialized, it's being communicated, and it's so fluid. It feels as though it's just naturally being done. It doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It's not a situation that seems to be, something that's even uncomfortable. And I'm saying, my wife don't even push me in that fashion. This, that, or the third. I don't necessarily know what it is that I'm not doing or what it is that I am doing, or, why haven't I tapped into this with her? But I also had to come to understand that the reason why I wasn't able to tap into that with her is because I wasn't being transparent enough with you. I was being more biased and holding my standard and my expectancy to even you, even without you knowing what it was that I was dealing with. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm looking at the whole situation, right? And I'm like, dang, I got old girl who I've already dealt with and I'm dealing with. And I don't want to necessarily say that this is where I want to be or I'm more comfortable here, but I've chose my wife, and this is the one who I'm with, and this is where I've already committed and made my vows to before Christ. So how do I get her to push me, to motivate me, to establish something and bring something out of me that I didn't even know that was there?
And I always I'm totally open to the idea and the concept of what he's saying and what he means by that. But I always have to kindly remind him that that's what I've been doing all along anyway. I have been motivating him and pushing him in ways that he was not comfortable. Otherwise, he wouldn't be who he is right now. It's just not always been in that way. I refuse to have him do anything that he's not comfortable with doing. I want him to willingly do these things. I want him to, willingly be an active part of, the family photo shoot. I want him to be a willing participant in setting up the Christmas tree and wrapping gifts, because it's not about, us, it's about our children. It's about, making these memories and these awesome situations for them. And in some cases, he was open and willing. Like the traveling, he's all for that. Like, when we would take the kids to Orlando for their spring break, he was all with that, going to the vacation home, doing anything else. He was all for that. But I'm really big on family, Sunday dinner, sit at the table to eat together, holidays, things like that. That's everything for me. But I just wouldn't push him to do something that he wasn't very comfortable with.
So these are the things that were complete opposites between the two of us. Because for me, I'm like, hell yeah, you can do that. Why not? Give it a try. Let's go at it this way. Let's see how that feels. We'll try it this time. If we don't like it, we don't do it anymore. We trash it. The idea, the concept, everything. Because the fact of the matter is, whenever it is that you're doing something, you want to be comfortable doing it.
Absolutely.
However, it's so important for you to be able to push your spouse, your significant other, your partner. It's important for you to be able to challenge them. It's not necessarily a physical push, but it's a, it's a enlightenment, because you're revealing things to them and you're giving them a fact, and you're giving them a fashion in which you can say, hey, listen, man, you got to open up your mind. You got to evolve your thought pattern and process and look at things from this spectrum, because we're not going to always be right here. Absolutely. We can't be comfortable right here. Right. That is considered complacency. Stagnant water stinks. Mm-hmm. And I want to always continue to be fluid and ever evolving and ever hungry and ever motivated, even within myself.
I have a question for you.
No.
Okay. Then I'm gonna ask. The question is, have you heard me say over the years that we've been together that our relationship is an investment?
Yes, most definitely.
All right. Have you heard me say to you that I want a return on my investment?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Yes. Now, can you say, excluding me, looking in the mirror at yourself, are you the same person now that you
Absolutely
were?
Not. You don't even have to answer that. I mean, like, you don't even have to finish that statement.
I don't have to finish that statement.
When I say to you and the world that I'm not done with you yet, yes, it's a part in appreciation, but it's also a part of the evolution that I'm waiting to see you at your full potential as well.
It's here.
So when I look at you and how you have evolved, and some of the things that you have changed, and some of the things that you've shed, and some of the things that you are still
shedding.
Shedding. Yes. But I get so, sometimes I just want to myself, because I'm still learning you.
Yes.
And even the things that I felt like I was so confident and comfortable with, yes, they're constantly changing.
Yes.
So that is why the pleasure and pain of loving a woman and the beauty in the woman, because of how she's ever evolving.
Yes. But I saw a meme, and not to cut you off, but I definitely need to get this out and say this, because I didn't get a chance to say it to you when I saw it the other day. But I saw a meme on Instagram where the woman was the flower, the man was the farmer watering the flower, and their baby was the honeybee.
Okay.
And that was, for me, like such a visual of how I feel. There has been times where I've felt like my flower was dying, but it was because I wasn't being watered properly.
Okay.
But even in times where I was dying, I always had the children who would come and bring me pollen and kind of bring me back to life again.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that visual for me the other day was like, I couldn't remember where I saw it. So when I went back to find it to send it to you, I couldn't. But that's just one of those things where I look at where we are now, right? You're watering me properly, daily, constantly. And because of that, you're seeing a lot more life in what you're watering.
Got you. That's reassuring. That's reassuring. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's reassuring. We because we've had the conversation so openly and if I could say one too many times about taking it all back. Knowing that a relationship is an investment,
Yes.
and knowing how much we have been willing to invest in
This.
one another
In this.
to have this,
Mhm.
to invest in one another to have this. We've then had to individually evolve in order to invest in ourselves so that we could share the good things that we've learned about ourselves, learned about one another together, and then say, okay, this is how this investment needs to grow.
Yep.
This is how this relationship needs to evolve.
Yep.
This is not worth cashing out. This is not worth calling it quits, but this is how we're going to change the dynamic.
Absolutely.
Because love never really necessarily dies or fades. It grows more in depth and more profound if it's true love. So what I have come to understand in my marriage, right? I'm talking about that bad word. I guess we're getting ready for the bed. But what I have learned in my marriage that I did not know in my relationship was how to water you, how the importance of watering you actually went. I remember a gentleman telling me that you can't focus on changing a person. You have to focus on changing you so that you can better deal with that individual.
Yeah.
And I never forgot that, because once I was able to implicate that in one relationship, I have seen every single other relationship in my life change.
Yeah, definitely shifted.
Now some have changed for the negative, and I have to take my hands off of that. But one and the same, I'm still accountable, and I hold whatever it is that what part I may be responsible for. But majority of them have changed for the positive, and I'm starting to look at that and say a spade is a spade, and I'm happy for this, and I'm grateful for that, and I've learned from this, and this has taught me to elevate my mindset.
Absolutely.
Because like, if you can't change your position, change your perspective.
Absolutely. We're not going to keep you much longer, you guys, but if you are tuned in, I got a quick question for you. I have the Queen of the Castle has called a family meeting. So we will be meeting with our children tomorrow, having a house meeting. Drop in the comments, would you like to kind of tune in with us on how we intend to change the dynamic of our household with our family, and how we kind of conversate with how we converse with our children. It is very, 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 very non-traditional.
Because we have an open forum with our children. Whatever it is that they want to say, however it is that they choose to express themselves, all gloves off, right here at the table. We address it. We correct it.
So you guys, drop in the comments if you wouldn't mind just kind of poking your head in at our family meeting. Obviously, we can't give you 100% of that time, but we would love to kind of get our kids a little bit more involved in AD&D as we promised. A prelude to a kiss for 2021, because you know we've got great things coming up, and we're just asking that you guys just hang tight with us as we get this ride all tightened up, no nuts and bolts loose anywhere. So that way, once we take off on this ride, it will be an enjoyable one.
So, as the lovely Miss D has said, we are going to go ahead and begin to wrap this up. For the relationships out there in the world, married and intact families, we just encourage you guys, man, to one, make sure that you're communicating. Make sure that you are communicating, not one way, but both ways.
And don't hit yourself with because I hear this all the time. So let me say it out loud while the opportunity is here. Don't hit yourself with because I was gonna say that. Because if you hit yourself with I was gonna say that, then that absolutely means that you didn't say it. Just go ahead and put it out there. Don't finna say. Just go ahead and say it, because one of the things that I've learned training adults and working with adults in a fashion where they have to be coachable and adaptable and receive information is that adults yearn for honesty.
Yes.
They yearn for that. Like, don't lie to me. Just tell me what it is, good, bad, or indifferent, and allow me to kind of take that. And so if I can give you any advice that I have learned through error, may I add, just say whatever it is, good, bad, or indifferent, whether you like it or don't like it, whether you think they're going to like it or not. Just go ahead and put it out there and level set that way. Because it's easier to level set through honesty versus anything else that you can have to offer.
No doubt. If it's too much of a strenuous conversation, if you feel like there's too much tension at this time, I would advise you to write it down. Send it in a long text, write it out, write it down. Make sure that you leave it somewhere where you know that they'll be able to get it and they'll be attentive at a time when they do get it. My wife has written me letters and put them in my lunch bag.
Period.
So when I get to work, I'm like, what the hell is
left it on the pillow because I knew he was gonna see it when he got home to lay down. Like.
Right. So sometimes you just gotta go the extra mile. If it's your investment that you truly are after, then you have every right to kick ass and take names last about that.
Absolutely.
So we are just encouraging you guys, man, to always continue to grow.
Yes.
Evolve.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Dust yourself off and try it again.
Yes.
In this mindset, sometimes you will mess things up. But in most cases, it takes for you to mess things up really good before you get them right.
Absolutely. And for anyone that is around you that may have things to say that are not the most positive, just give them a kind of reminder. Like, you don't know me. Okay? Don't judge
my daddy
me.
said delete.
Don't judge me. You don't know my life. That's actually one of my coin phrases that I go by. Don't judge me. You don't know my life. Because even if you think you know, you don't know the ins and the outs. So, don't judge me. You don't know my life. But hey, we're going to go ahead and let you guys go. We've taken up enough of your time tonight. It's been real. Thank you guys for hanging out with us one more Tuesday night.
That's right.
And you already know, please make sure to like, share, and
subscribe. And if you see something that you like, if you heard something that you agree with, share it along with someone else, man. Pass it around. AD&D is trying to keep on moving on up like the Jeffersons. So help us get there. Shout out to all the great people out there in the world. Shout out to my boy Russell, my little bro. Shout out to Miss Ashley at
Del
Taco on 85. You heard me?
Yeah,
they took
store number
good
12,
care of us.
That's them.
So much love. We told you that we was gonna do that. We definitely don't want to forget about you.
Definitely.
Shout out to my girl Lavonda at Holistic Healing,
yes.
Mother Earth, Little Mama Earth. They got some good things over there.
Check them out.
They got some tinctures. They got some butters. They've got some sea moss and some elderberry. Everything is all popping. Shout out to Chic Boutique for my shirts. Check out the drip. We got more merch coming real soon, man. We love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. And once again, till next time, peace.
It's been real, y'all. Oh, and before we let y'all go, I hate to do it like that. You know that today is December the 1st, right? Whose birthday is coming?
Oh, yeah. I forgot to tell y'all that. My birthday in 4 days.
Anyways, Babe's birthday is coming up in 4 days. But listen, if you got you a significant other or a significant other that you're kind of keeping in mind, Valentine's Day is T-minus 2 months and about 13 days away. We're going to have some pre-order sales for our Valentine's Day party coming up soon. It's going to be a black tie affair. It is going to be the place to be. So keep your ear out to the streets to see what's going on with that. And listen, thank you guys so much for joining us.
We out. And
Because this